Fire, what are you saying?
Yes, Fire Key, give thanks for life.
Serious thing. We are here again, Ballhead Energy. I feel it's safe to say now, Generation Gap Rhythm, right? Let the people know that's coming
Yes,
forward. All right, enough works in there. What do you want to say? Combination between I Never Knew TV, Red Music, owned by the one Autarchii, and it should be to the people soon. We posted some little thing there, like some little teaser, but things should be in this folder soon. Yeah, big time. So look out for that. Also, the Brethren EP is in the description, Disrupting the Status Quo. Look out for the video there for Pumps and Pride.
Yes,
All right, cool. Then look out for that same way. So, Fire, what are we reasoning about today?
Well, we are reasonable why when time people become successful, they must leave out of the wood, so to speak, or many would have said the ghetto, because it's an ongoing conversation, you know. I always hear say when time certain people leave out of the ghetto, they must sell out, or they make it and they must leave the ghetto now, they must sell out. But is a whole heap of different sides to it and many different ways for looking to it. So that's the reason I got really surrounded by, you know.
I definitely heard the sellout term before in regards to it, and especially in these modern times, maybe back in the day, but now, Fire, the thing kind of tricky, because the reason being is that it's not even just an economic situation, it's a mental situation. And unfortunately, a lot of people outgrow that environment, and they no longer, it's not the fact that they can't relate to the people in the environment, they just on the heights and they just on a different movement, so they really don't fit that environment. That's what happens to a lot of people. Also, as you know, Fire, if you're a progressive person and you're moving forward and you're around people that's not really dealing with that, things get kind of tricky, because now you become this bank to a lot of people, unfortunately. And also, the things that they're into, you're just not into it. You know, so I think it's more of a situation where people just outgrow that environment. Now, I'm not generalizing saying, oh, everybody from what they refer to as a low income area is not on the heights. I'm not saying that at all, right? But I am saying that there's a large population in that environment that's not on the heights, and they engage in behaviors that's not progressive and not aligned to growth. So I do want to add one more thing, though. There is a negative aspect when you do leave these environments. I've noticed this. I observed that. I'll speak about Black people, right? I know there are many groups in certain environments, white people, Spanish people, Asian people. We're talking about Black people. The more successful you become in America, the more isolated you become. You become like a nomad, because you're no longer accepted in that environment that you're from initially. You kind of outgrow that. And when you go to these new environments, you're not accepted. Right? When you go to these new environments, you're not accepted the same way. So they come like, as a Black person, the more progressive you come. I'm not talking about the Black person, the entertainer, because white people like that entertainer figure, like kind of King Jolly, and I'm talking about a person that hold the order. You become isolated because you're not accepted anywhere, you know.
No, a straight facts that, you know, because all right, you see, you realize that when you really make it to certain levels, I would say success is that thing where it's subjective still, but when you're financially stable to a level and you start aspire towards certain morals and certain goals now, you realize that when you interact with your same people, them who not reach on that level yet, them have certain type of jokes, or would I call, is that some type of subtle type of things where them bring towards you and say, oh, him get rich now, you know. Look, him get rich and him now come around now no more. But it's like them now think about it from the general concept, you know. If me all of my life, the amongst corruption, the amongst dilapidation, the amongst people who only have one mindset. You see what I say? When time me start strive now, you know, in order for me maintain this financial stability, you know, me have to make sure that me have some form of tranquility. And you can't have tranquility in an environment where always loud, an environment where you always have quarrel, an environment where you always have aggression. Because I mean, you have when people are financially stable, them always have this form of aggression because it leads to stress. So if me in a high stress environment all the time, so me I say, I may have to sleep this annoying, so me I got hear some gunshot through the door, or me I got hear somebody a fight or some squabble or some form of things where have negative connotation to it. me can't go progress enough to ensure that my stability is there and me can look forward, you know. You gotta have too much distractions, and distractions is a thing where I gotta take you from the road where you're supposed to go. Now, me not tell you say you're supposed to neglect where you come from, you know, because that is a different aspect of it, you know. Like for example now, we know say we have social programs and we have all heap of different things that we put in place to ensure so ones in our whole environment can uplift themselves. So that is the next part of it. You know? So you have to dissect it in a two portion. You know? So you have to dissect it in a leaving the environment to ensure so you can bloom outside of that environment. And then you talk about what is your impact towards uplifting that environment. So you have to break it into them two portions there, but you can never ever feel like you can blame a person or consider them as a sellout because them choose to leave a state of dilapidation. No, that is unfair.
And also to anyone who has lived in America and grew up in an urban environment, and when you go to school, when you come back to school, it's a very big transition because that time away, unfortunately, a lot of people are doing the same thing. Mentally, they haven't progressed. And you're in a different environment. I'm not saying school is no great thing where, you know, you learn this great thing, but you do learn a little something and you're in a different environment. You're around different people. So at least you get some exposure, understanding that your environment is not the absolute norm for the earth. That's the first disconnect, right? Now, the next disconnect comes with responsibilities and choosing how you live your life. I've actually had people criticize me for being a family man. Like throw a joke. You remember how you made the joke? And it's like, oh, you know, you always with your, and like in retrospect, when you think about it, it's like, that's pretty absurd for you to make that type of joke, you know, but it's kind of, you know, it's like some people say stuff, but it's kind of true at the end of the day. They say some hate and stuff, but it's truth in there. And that's really the vibe. And it's just like, when you really check it, it is what it is. People could call it, it's not generalization, but that family structure is not there in certain communities. It's not there, fire, you know, and people almost have disdain towards you when you try to bring that type of energy, males and females. And it's mind-boggling in a sense because you thought you would be elated or happy for someone who's trying to provide that energy to the environment, but it's almost like you're ostracized and criticized, and you think you're better than us. That's usually the term. From a financial standpoint now, it's rough because, as I stated before, first of all, people don't understand how much you earn. They think because you have a job, you're a millionaire, right? So I think that's the biggest level of ignorance that takes place because, God forbid, they hear you have in their eyes what they believe is a decent job. They just feel that money is falling out the sky, and they feel, or they try to pressure you like you're obligated to maintain and or dealing with all their financial woes. And what I've observed, if I'm a man that observe, like it's like I do my own little sociology experiments, and I notice that people from different environments, they're able to move forward financially because they don't have the same financial responsibilities as other people. So check it. If a person graduates school, even with a student loan, I'm not even going to use some situation a person got a student loan. Say they do have a student loan, right? They either have their own place or they'll have roommates. No help from parents, but they do work. That money is used to pay off student loans, to pay off credit card debt, and to help build themselves up. Compared to another person now, from a different environment, they have those bills along with bills of their peers. And parents do this little guilt trip on their kids, like obligated to take care of them in particular cultures, you know, not across the board for black people, but there are many black families where the elders just feel like, even though they didn't contribute, that's the next fire. That's the next thing. It's not like they contributed to your situation now. Let's clear the air on that. It's not like they played a role where you're at. Because a lot of black people, Prophet said it the best, yo. A lot of black kids, they're there because they just want to do something with themselves. It's not like they got no great help or no support from their family, fine. Don't get the thing twisted. But unfortunately, when you reach a certain heights now, everybody has their hand out. When you keep shelling out this money along with your own bills that they're not helping you with now, you're always going to be broke and you're never going to get ahead financially. You know?
I know this is really an interesting topic, you know, because you mentioned school. But then I put a twist to the same statement. Say when you become or aspire to become successful to certain levels and still living at the ghetto or the hood or wherever they would classify it as, would have come like that bright spark in the class who have a whole heap of eyeglass or a whole heap of people who know want to do the work. So you see when the professor now or the teacher have to spend the time for focus on these particular students now, it take away from your time from learning. So you see while the youth now win at the next class where them consider as the so-called bright class, that professor realized that everybody in that class willing to learn, or majority of people in that class willing to learn. So the professor get to go through the notes in time, get to ensure that the curriculum given to you in the right aspect. But when you now in turn in the other class now, and so the other class we are taught, but we have eyeglass and have people who are who have distract you from your mission. Me classify that particular classroom as the ghetto. No offense to anyone. You see me I say because we come from the ghetto, and we embedded deep in the ghetto. So I feel like say we are the right person to talk about it, because I can tell you, just growing up in the ghetto with a mother and father, people tell me say me bougie and me rich. You see me I say just to make sure say you have 2 extracurricular activity with your parents to them tell us you're rich. Why them tell us you're rich and why them tell you you're bougie? Because it's not the norm to them. So now right off the top now, you isolated for doing something where it's normal and you don't have the full benefits for everything where you want to do, but you're still outside of that normal look, and people are looking at you in a particular mannerism already.
My brother always tells a joke how out of the crew he used to chill with when he was in high school, we were the only ones that had the father and the mother in that. It's sad to say, right? But we were the only ones that had the father and the mother in the household, and they kind of criticize them as soft, and you don't have anything to complain about, And unfortunately, when you're in a certain environment, the normal becomes, what's the term you use? Abnormal, not normal, and not normal becomes normal. I wanted to touch on what you were saying in the school too. That's one of the reasons a lot of people do leave, because everything is compound interest, right? I'm in education, and you see it all the time. You can be in a certain school district where your child probably gets maybe 7 to 15 minutes of actual instruction per class due to disruptions and playing around. Now you have a child in a different district where they'll be getting anywhere, say 40 to 45 minutes of instruction. You multiply that year after year for 10 years, right? The child even without great effort, but the child that's getting that instruction consistently is going to be way ahead of the child that's only getting the 15 minutes. Certain environments are just not conducive for growth. Not saying people can't get through, because people do get through, but majority don't get through. That's just the reality of the situation. So I understand especially why people who have kids kind of move out of the area. I think people live there by default. No one wants to live in a particular area. You live there because you have to. And it's quite evident, because once people get money, they're gone. You get what I'm saying? And I was walking through the area where I teach, and the place is just nasty, fight. There's dog shit on the floor, human shit, trash everywhere, bottles, needles, people, you know what I'm saying? Dead animals. And from the view of it, fight is just not up for. And another thing I want to add is that, especially when you're in areas where there's a high majority of the residents are renters, you notice they don't have respect for the property nor the environment, because there's no commitment. There's like a transit type vibe, and
keyword commitment.
Yeah,
that is the keyword.
No commitment, and so you notice those areas kind of look away. Obviously, you got the corner stores, the liquor stores, the violence, the crime, and all that, and the noise, and it's just like, why? And it's bad in a sense, because I noticed just like you have brain drain with countries, you have brain drain with communities, because people just jump in ship. And people jealous, man. People jealous, fire. People jealous, and like that's the next thing you gotta be careful of. They hear the conversation a lot with rappers, but people don't really want to see you. Our people, especially, fire, like they don't want to see you do good, yeah. They really don't. And if you're doing real good, you gotta tone it down and just keep quiet and move. You can't share too much with people, because you're around people not doing anything. then is the support's not there. I'm not saying people not grateful in other areas, but you know how the thing go amongst your people fight. That gratefulness on a different height, you know.
As we say, two aspects of the thing, you know, like what you say when you start off, you know. So you see, you get caught between a rock and a hard place now because imagine your people them a grudge you now because you want to uplift yourself.
Well, let me hear you say mountain.